Right.
Hi, this is Sheila with Conscious Conversation Central. It is still Sunday, July the 22nd, 2018, and I have returned with my gal pals. I'll get it right this time. BZ Rieger and Lisa Flamino Rush. And for our second conversation this evening, we're going to talk about, well, some of what's going on out there. What it looks like. BZ, I love the way you put it. It may look like hell. It may feel like hell. There's a lot of people that feel like, we're on the brink of war and, all these kinds of things and, all these linear reasons to keep us swirling and situated in such a fashion. But as you said, there is a way out of all of that. And love, of course, dropping down into love being the biggest one. But I loved what you were talking about, how I hated that we didn't just start recording because we do this all the time. I got to learn to edit. Okay, so.
Because it was good and you had a chorus backup?
Yes, that's right. I want everyone to know that while BZ was talking about this, I had an entire choral group that was performing in a stadium echoing right over here, right in this area, right here. So this is an important energetic envelope we're about to open up here, I feel like. All perspectives are valid, absolutely. And if one doesn't want to go through hell, might be worth listening to this one. Because there is a lot going on out there. Mm-hmm. When we started talking about this, I was like, well, I haven't been paying a lot of attention to what's going on out there, other than, the things that just sort of crop up into my view. Of course, there are some things you can't help but come across. But so can you pick it up from where you began it, BZ, in regards to this one?
Yeah, one of the things I would start with is that, you had referenced what I had said to describe this, and love is the only way through to get out. And you can choose it on the outset to drop into, open your heart and go that way, or you cannot choose it. And both are valuable choices because they're personal and they're yours. But you will come through, and you'll come out the other side. And all that will be left is love when you come out the other side. So one is a smoother, the choosing intentionally of going through it with love is the smoother of the ride. And the other one, although, fantastical and wild and a little hair-raising, choosing not to absolutely is a terrific choice, because the amount of expansion and the delving deep into the trajectory a few 100 miles further away from source gains you a lot in the eternal scope of that which you are. So from a linear perspective, be one hell of a hairy eyeball ride, but you'll come to the same place. So it's cool.
Well, I got a feeling that most of us kind of fall in between those two. Anyway, I know I do. And it changes from moment to moment as to whether it's a hairy eyeball ride or a smooth traveling ride.
Yeah, and one of the things that when I was driving, was it? I think it was a Thursday. It was a Thursday, and I was driving down to team agility practice, and so all sorts of, well, I was having lots of conversations with my soul, and all things were coming up, and a couple of different things and discussions on some thoughts to play with for videos, whether it's a quantum playground video or a video with you guys and stuff like that. And this was one of them, and it came through as a very in an intense way. Um, in a magnified way, I guess it would say. So an amplified, magnified way. And I wouldn't necessarily have just described it as the chorus that Sheila heard and experienced. I would have characterized it a little bit differently, but it was, came with a light show and a magnification of colors and notes, as in the language of the spheres notes, and stuff. So when things come like that through for me, it's telling me that it's a valuable thing to play with and to explore, because it's something that will generate coherence in that which is put out into the collective, and the all of the fields of excuse me, consciousness that are playing and commingling with that. And I had to laugh because, the once I started to think about it and grab my recorder and made some notes, the notes is basically one sentence. Although the kind of the pre-notes were this whole long thing. But I think one way to play with it is what I was saying before, we started on camera, is that you can pick any area right this moment and focus on things. You could focus on, certain tweet threads. You can focus on certain things that are happening. You can focus on the case in Tennessee. You can focus, and the purported result of that purported alleged case. You can focus on what's happening up on Capitol Hill. You can focus on, the Russian, oh my godness, or yeah, rightness, depending on, again, from perspective. So it's not the perspective. Well, if the perspectives matters in as much as you notice the perspectives and you honor each perspective and you watch from a broader perspective, like you were watching a movie or a play unfold, and you see the different characters with these different perspectives. And so that would be one way where you're intentionally doing it from your heart, where you can see that and you stay in the heart, you stay in the 0 point, you stay in the neutrality of it. And anything that might pique you in one way or the other, that may zing you or make your blood boil, or different things you might want to describe it as, then that would be personal integration moment. It might be a little buzzer that goes up. This is a good moment for integration. Or you can choose it the other way, where you don't go in the heart space and you're not coming through and using the tool of love to get you there, in which case you're down and dirty, whether you're down and dirty and if it's a tweet or this or that, the other thing, you're delving right in, or you're doing the armchair, where you're shouting at the screen and what's going on. Actually, in this moment, because of the energies, both are incredible integration tools. Both are incredible ways to actually express and expel and clean and clear and scrape off the stuff that's not of love to move through for expansion to, as we close things out and wrap things up. One is a lot more draining and actually painful in a lot of areas, and the other one could be hard work and sometimes tiring, right? But again, there's different characteristics to them.
Yeah, this one actually kind of ties in a little bit with the multidimensionality that we were going to play with, for me anyway. In that, as some of these things, all the different perspectives come up that folks have, you were mentioning things like, oh my God, about the Russia, and oh, great. Yeah, right. About Russia, right? Those are two very valid perspectives. I guess what I'm finding for myself in this moment is not having, I've actually done it over a lot of things, let go the need to be right about something and see that they're both right and they're both wrong. Depending on depending on the perspective that I'm holding at that moment. And it's become a lot easier for me personally to be able to hold all of those at once. And I know that's, I would never have thought that I mean, in times past, either something's right or it's wrong. It can't both be right, but it can, and it is. At least for me, that's my perspective.
I use it as what you're talking about. I use that as a way to get jazz juiced. Happy jumping up and down and singing in the rain and, heart expansion big time. Because because I don't hold either or. I can observe and play in, and look at and delve into either or. Mostly where I am is that I look at it and I think, fabulous, because they're all tickets to ride to expansion. They're all tickets to ride to show me with absolute, undeniable, shout it from the rooftops proof that this is all coming down. We're in the show. We're in the grand finale. We're in the yeehaw moment where this is all coming down, and it's exciting to see. And different beings are choosing to do it in different ways and look at it in different ways. And the gorgeousness of that, you could say, the opposing or dualistic views is that it actually is heightening and bringing every perspective that's of that polarized, dualistic nature, all on display, all out on the table, all coming into fruition so that it's all clearly seen, heard, and felt in that frequency of what this play is that's unfolding, so it can all be dematerialized. And it's really cool. But that's the 0 point perspective.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought to have termed it that way, but I can see that. Yeah.
And some say, well, nothing's happening, or there's no arrests, or Heather isn't free, or you can think of all different things. And well, perhaps in this particular moment, if you were looking at those different things, that may be a good characterization of what's going on. But it's not the totality of what's actually going on. It's not seeing all the levels and layers, because all is not as it seems. Because that over there is not just that over there. It's that over there with all these myriad of layers, and that over there, same, what I just said is the same thing over there, and they're intimately connected. So that could be Putin and Russia, and the gaff or not gaff, the what came behind the scenes, what didn't come behind the scenes, and in Tennessee, they are actually all related, and they're all intimately related. And they're all connected. And if one listens and one looks and one notices, they're actually saying the same thing. They're talking about the same thing. And that's on the linear stage, the more polarized stage. Then if you look, and we're not talking about tuning into, right? If you're just looking, now so it's external to yourself. If you look at things that are happening that are on a more spiritual nature, a more encompassing of not just this planet nature, there's a lot going on there too, and they are all intimately connected, and from the linear and the non, and they're all saying the same things. Different languaging, there's different perspectives, so that there's a little bit more of a coloring here and a coloring there and a coloring there and a flavor to this. But if you pan out and pull back so that you're not having that narrow, fine-grained focus, and here we go back to unfocusing again, right? Then you really can see that it's almost like having a voyeuristic, in a very healthy, helpful, expansive way, view of what's going on, because if you're not focusing, then you don't have the predilection for being attached to, picking a side of, right? And championing or arguing or, kind of demonstrating for or against one or the other. You're just noticing it play out. Now, I'm not talking about where you're just sitting in an armchair and you're not participating. You are. But it's of a nature where you're of it, but not in it. So you're not immersed in it. And you do it in a way, the only way to do what I'm talking about is to have the head maybe helping and assisting, and coming in as support to the heart with, some linear analyzing different things, and that's very valuable, but it's not leading the way. And it's not thinking the whole time. It's pulling back and using a multimedia, multidimensional approach and a form of reading the waters, reading the energies, reading, the headlines, reading what's unfolding.
I guess I just term it a little bit differently, but I feel what you're saying. And I think for me, it's that the broadening the aperture, the focus of it is very helpful for me, or has been, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Been looking at all of these things. I mean, I can see that they're all connected myself, but very much so.
When you take it in that way, as a cohesive one thing that is happening, it all just makes so much sense, and you can sort of flow and the coherence, and I don't know. I begin to marvel at the complexity of it all, And I'm finding it to be sort of like, I don't know, a terrific novel where it's some mystery is unraveling. I don't know. It's taken on a very exciting, fun, playful mode from the widest, unfocused position.
Right. No,
Yeah,
great.
and this novel we're writing as we read it.
Right. In real time.
You know, and when we're looking at these things, if we have the thought, or maybe we've heard it because we listened to this or some other things that, you know, but maybe shifting perspective or broadening perspective, then we can see it. The other thing that comes to mind when you do that, it just occurred to me, you have the ability to do that more easily if you already are a little sounder within yourself. And by that I mean you have a touchstone within you and the compass within you that is using your discernment and resonance so that you don't have to look external to yourself for the expert or you know, the guru or this, that, the other is going to show you the way, tell you what's happening, describe it, so on and so forth. You can look at different beings who are doing different things and assimilate that within you because you're the expert for yourself. But the other thing that's an indicator of that is when something happens or has a perception of not happening and you feel adrift all of a sudden because what happened was a shock or unexpected or not what you really wanted or whatever it is. And that could be, you could point to millions of things out there right this moment, and depending on the perspective, you'll have that. That's a good indicator that you're not coming from the heart, that it's only a mental exercise and you are in the world and fully of it, of the old falling down construct. Because if you weren't, those things, you'd notice them, you might go, oh, well, I didn't see that coming. But you could easily then put it into the aperture widening mechanism within yourself and go, okay, well, that gives me a little more depth of field here and a little bit more color here, and wow, okay. Rather than really rocking your boat because what you were focused on or anticipating or judging or holding on to was not something that was a sustainable, self-generated, true knowing. It was kind of an offshoot of the false construct, kind of a branch you were holding on to. And that branch cracked and fell down, just like everything else is. And again, I do have much compassion for those who feel that, Jesus Christ, the world has just gone to hell and heaven. I mean, holy smokes, what is going on? But all of that is falling. It's just what's happening. It's just what's happening. And it's a beautiful thing because we're beautiful creator beings. And we've played all of this out and we're wrapping it up now. And this polarity, this polarization, this duality, this dualistic push me, pull you, us against them, attached and ensconced in all of this is not who we are. And so we're letting it all go because we all chose to let it go, because we decided that we were ready, because, you know, on the linear, again, to go back, this is what this is conversation is about, to keep going back to the linear, which is very counter to what I usually do, is that we got tired of this. We on the linear self said, I don't want to do this anymore. Jesus, there's got to be something more to life than this. There's got to be a better way. Is us all there is? I mean, I don't think that it's a dog eat dog world. I don't want to have the dog eat my dog or me. I'm tired of this. I mean, I just want to have fun. I just want to play. Do I have to work all the time? I mean, Jesus, I don't have any time. So that's where we had it. I mean, there are enough times at night, enough headaches, enough nausea, enough frustration, enough worry, enough, you know, rashes and this and that and the other thing, that was all of our body telling us, wow, I don't want to do this anymore. Looking at this, whether we did it in an angry way or a happy way or a sad way or a helpful way or a vitriolic way, we all played a part in that. And so we're creator beings, and hey, hot damn, look, we're bringing it all down. And that's why it's happening. And it's happening really, really fast. And it's unstoppable. It's a juggernaut of love, was what you really see. And some people may say, well, I don't know what the hell she's talking about, because I don't see it. I see a juggernaut, but I don't see a lot of love. Well, it is. Because it's unstoppable, and it will cleanse and clear and move all that is not of love out of its way. And again, go back to what we said at the beginning. We can each choose. Each one of us can choose to do it from that place where we open our heart and we feel into what that means and how we do that and how we navigate that. We don't need someone else. It's helpful if someone shares their experience, but it's their experience, not my experience or your experience or your experience. So that may be helpful, but we can feel into it because we're not missing anything. And we didn't come here to this planet without the resources, without the whole plan, without all of that. It's just buried. We've just forgotten it. We've, you know, slept through it, or put something over our head, or the shiny job car, whatever, you know, was the bling that's blinding us from what's going on. Whatever it is for each person, it's different. But as we move through that, that's what to choose. And this is the time to choose. Because we're going on the juggernaut. The juggernaut's happening, whether we know it or not, understand it or not, get on it or not, it's happening.
Well, I couldn't help it, but of course you said, you know, that we came here with a plan, and I, you know, because I see metaphor everywhere. I heard trust the plan.
Yes, and that is one other thing. That's all is not as it seems. So yes, the trust the plan. Yeah, and that phrase has much more context and much more meaning from a much wider aperture than I'd say probably 90% of the people who are looking at it understand what it is. So yeah, when I read that and when I feel the answering energetic within my body, I chuckle because, wow, I didn't see that coming is going to be what an awful lot of people, you know, when the light bulb goes on and the chorus goes, la, you know, they're going to see.
Well, yeah, I mean, wow. Okay. Sorry. That was like perfect for me right there. Awesome.
Because the headline is not the 16, terabytes of information that was given to
160
okay.
terabytes.
All right. Well, whatever. That's not the headline.
Yeah. No, it's not.
You know, it's not the headline that you have all these household names have done all these things. That's not the headline. Trust the plan. That's part of the headline, but the headline is not all this small, although seemingly ginormous stuff. The headline is about all the beings and the truth of who you are. You know, as Nicholas would say, the KACB, you know, that's the headline.
Yeah.
All KACBs have now been revealed. And the light is shining on all of them. That's the headline.
Yeah, and in case anybody didn't get the memo, those initials belong for you as well. A kick-ass creator being are you.
Yes.
Every single one of you who are watching this now or who will be watching this in the future. You are that. I am that. We are all that.
And that's the headline.
That's
the plan. That's what the plan, that's the plan. And that's what the plan is. And that's why the trust in the plan is really helpful. Because the plan's unfolding regardless.
Yep. Whether we realize it or not.
Yeah. That's the juggernaut that I spoke about.
Yeah.
The plan is a juggernaut of love, and it's unfolding. And it's really sublime. It is so, you talked about that, Lisa, you know, you mentioned the complexity. It's amazing. I mean, stand back for a moment, if possible, just for a moment, just less if it's a play. Let go of the judgment, let go of the fret, let go of the indignation, let go of the outrage, let go of the frustration, let go of whatever you're labeling as. My God, it's fantastic. I mean, the creational force and the complexity and the richness and the diversity and the marveling, and Lisa's sideways. I was like,
hey, how did that happen?
She's, you know, flying.
I'm sorry, your phone, what? I can hear her from the other room. Your phone, what? Okay, well, her phone turned off. Okay, so just so you know, when you see this video, you will see that you are rather sideways.
Which means that Zoom just said she's gone to a different dimension. Her phone actually hasn't turned off.
Yeah, I know. So her phone turned off, but Zoom has not disconnected her. All it did was freeze her and put her sideways.
That's right. Just trust the plan. Because sometimes it'll turn you a little sideways.
There she goes. Well, she'll be back. Wow. No, that is interesting. So Lisa was getting ready to talk about some of the complexities that she has noticed too, I'm sure. Are you coming back to us, or what happening in there? Oh, okay. She's plugging in, I believe. So yeah, for me, when I look at all of what's going on in the out there that is going on, you know, the purported case in Tennessee, of course, because, you know, I'm following that pretty heavily. And, but along with that, I can see all of it, it's the same thing everywhere. It's not, that's why I've been questioned about that, my feeling that I see metaphor everywhere, and that this particular case is metaphor as well. And I know that.
Yeah, it's metaphor, and that's how it's all intimately connected, and as actual matter of fact, it is also intimately connected.
Right. It is both of those things. Just like what we said with Q. To me, that is also both of those things. And it seems like almost everywhere I look, it doesn't matter. All of that is the same. The between things becoming transparent because of the unbinding and unwinding that's going on. You know, No one was more surprised than I back in February. I really didn't think that, you know, we were going to have to go through all this. But as it was revealed, it's more of a, it has to, all, not just that, but other things too. It has to all be revealed. All of it has to come out and be revealed and be taken apart.
Because it's an inside job.
Right. Well, and
so inside, so Heather is doing and Randy are doing inside jobs, metaphorically and in actual fact in that particular alleged case, right? But
right.
what I was mentioning, so metaphorically it's an inside job, and actually because, again, from one perspective, there's only one of us here.
Right.
And so to unwind and unbind it all, we each need to go inside and unravel it. And so we could use Russia and the 160 terabytes as a metaphor. We could use Tennessee as a metaphor. We could use Stroh's as a metaphor. We could use all sorts of things as a metaphor. We could use the Democrats and how spot on they are about the nutness of Trump and everything else as a metaphor. All those things are metaphors. Because in that moment, what they do is pull all of that is not of love out of each of those beings and help them integrate it. Sometimes it's intentional integration, sometimes it's conscious integration, sometimes it's intentional and with the plan and excited integration, and sometimes it's unconscious integration. And, you know, they each have different characteristics.
Hence the hairy eyeball ride.
Right.
So, Lisa, can you remember what you were going to say before you were so rudely turned to the sideways?
She was flipped almost on her head.
Nope.
Nope. Okay, well.
I was talking about the complexity and how delicious it is.
Yes. I'm sorry. I got really discombobulated when my phone died. It turned off. I had a great chuckle.
Yeah, it's not connected very well either because we didn't hear half of what you just said, but.
Oh.
She's discombobulated.
I did hear that part.
Sorry.
Well, so I guess BZ, was there anything else you wanted to add to this one then?
Well, I would just say is a useful tool people may find is to do what we've been talking about, where you can consciously maneuver yourself to a position where you're pulled back a notch, where you're noticing. And if you happen to be reading something or looking at, you know, Twitter thread or whatever it is, instead of, you know, leaning forward and jiving into it one way or the other, pull back and see how what is unfolding is just the way I described it, where you can see because you're letting that non-attachment, you know, that attachment go. So you're more in the 0 point field. And when you first start doing that, it's a very cool tool because it releases a lot of stuff within you that you didn't realize you held, whether it might be fear, anxiety, or angst, or worry, or frustration, or whatever. That's like someone else's coat we picked up and put on a long time ago, and we didn't realize that we did it. And it just seems like, the house smells good all of a sudden, or the car smells good, or the sun has come out. It's that, that wow, you maybe can't put your finger on it, but it's different. And anytime, right, these moments of now with all the expansion, all the energies, all the external show that's going at, that you can arrive at that feeling, that's going to make all of you feel better and help to navigate things in a much more seamless way.
Yeah, I agree. They do me, it does for me anyway. So.
And the only other thing I would finish with is that all is not as it seems. It's really cool.
Yeah, that really is that for me. That is another. That's almost as big as a headline as the fact that we are creator beings. To me, that's like just the next rung down. Because everything is not at all what it seems. Not at all.
And the breadth and depth and extremes and diversity and lengths and detail of everything that we think of in this reality that covers. And then think of 52 million others if you forgot some of them. It's applies to everything.
Yeah, it sure does. Well, I will have all the usual things in all the usual places. And I guess until next time.
Much love.